ladies and gents, everything between outside of it. I'm Sophia and welcome back to a new video. Are you sideways? Today we're just gonna do my July wrap up and like what I read in July. So I read 10 books in July. I'm kind of on my reading slump, kind of living. I read 1 book on my Kindle and 9 physical books, but here's a little catch. 6 of them were on my physical TBR and 3 of them weren't because I got them in Greece. The first book that I read was actually on my Kindle, but it was also it was an audiobook, but I finished it on my Kindle. So I read Do Not Disturb by Freida McFadden. So since this is like literally a month ago, I was in the middle of my test, I couldn't read, so I decided to listen to audiobooks. I actually did this quite a lot. The only problem is that often when I start an audiobook, I'm more confused than ever. Because I'm always confused when I start a book, but then an audiobook, it's like actually like what the hell is going on? Yeah, I don't really know. I literally forgot what I mean, I enjoy the book. I know that. And then I'm not gonna lie, at the end there were quite a good amount of twists, and I did really like that with Freida McFadden. Sometimes when a twist comes, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel like I could have guessed that, but I didn't. Yeah, I'm sorry, this book is so long ago that I can't really remember what I felt and how I read it, but I think I'm gonna give this a 3.75 because I remember thoroughly enjoying this, just purely also because of the characters, because there was so much going on, because it is multiple POVs, so you get the husband, you get the wife, you get the sister, you get this random guy. Like, you kind of always get that with your McFadden books. I always feel like sometimes the whole POV just switches up, like sometimes it goes from the victim to the killer, or like, I don't know, like sometimes it switches up completely. I remember being really excited to continue listening because I was just constantly thinking of the characters, and I can imagine the story because I was just constantly obviously imagining what was going on. I can picture it still very, very well. It's a very eerie vibe, but it's very, very good. And there's so many secrets, so many misunderstandings, and I love it. Actually, I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I've changed my mind now because I had to get into the thinking back of the book. Now we're gonna go on to my physical books, which is 9. So we have The Kind with Killing. This was so good. I expected this to be good because I'd heard so many good reviews about it, and I just heard that a lot of people really thoroughly enjoyed this book. And I knew it took place at an airport. Well, it doesn't really take place at an airport, but they meet at an airport, these 2 people. And it's basically, she convinces him to kill his wife. Because he's like, I kind of want to kill my wife. And she's like, I'll help you do it. It says it on the back, no spoilers. The story is so much more than that, and my mom finished it, I think yesterday, and she loved it as well. Yeah, no, this was just extremely good. Like, this is multiple POVs. There's so many twists, so many lies, so many secrets, so many hidden identities. And I was just constantly, like, in shock. I was constantly like, huh? I started this on the 20th, so that was the morning that I left. So I read, I think, like 80 pages on the plane, and then I finished it on the 21st. So finished this technically in like a day. There was constantly something you wanted an answer for, and even at the end, like the end, it was really good, but what kind of bothered me is that you were like, it's technically a finished end, and there's no more questions, but you're just kind of like, what's gonna happen now? Where's the little end, the little closure? I'm gonna give this a 4.25. I'm gonna close my window because it's making a lot of noise. That wasn't me. It wasn't me either. Why do I look like I just went through a storm? Then the next book that I read was It's Not Summer Without You. So this was not on my summer PR, but it kind of was. Like, it was in my head. I said this in my last video. Like, in my head, this is on my summer TBR because it's a summer book, but it wasn't on my video summer TBR. But I took this, I literally got it just before we left. I did finish this in 1 day, so I started this on the 22nd and I finished this on the 22nd. I did see my friend that day, so I had like, I think like 30 pages left, and then my friend came, so then when she left, I literally immediately finished it because I was like, I cannot go to dinner or do anything without knowing how this ends. So this is the second book in the Summer Actually I'm Pretty series. I'm fully aware you can't really see the cover because of the light, so I'm gonna hold it like this. Like, I don't know, they just spend summer together every year, and it's with these 2 brothers and this girl, and it's kind of a love triangle. And in this book, you get the point of views of Billy and Jeremiah. I think that's how you say his name. I like this book, but it was so much more sad than I expected it to, because what I remember from the first book, like, I remember that it was really fun, warm, friendship, love, growing up, coming of age, I literally forgot that there was like so many sad parts in it as well, and then when you open this book, it starts off sad. Like, it wasn't like I was gonna cry about it, but I remember this one moment where I was tearing up because I was like, fuck man, this is actually so sad. I don't know which one I like more though, the first one or the second one, but same thing. I read the first one in one sitting, I read this one technically in one sitting. So, because it's like it was 275 pages, and this is the font, so, and it's floppy. I'm gonna give this a 3.75 because, I don't know, it's just not hitting that 4. It might change, but that's where I'm at right now, and it's a YA book, so no smut. Then I finished a Not So Meet Cute, so I actually started this at home. You can see I like started tabbing. My Minion bookmark is still in there. And I really wanted to finish this before. Oh my god, my camera's gonna die, but I'll keep going. I was gonna finish this before I went to Greece because I was like, then I don't have to take it. But I did have it on my Kindle, so in the end I was like, okay, it's fine. I'll just finish it on my Kindle if I want to. And then it got to that point where I had already finished like 2 physical books, and I was like, okay, let me just get all the books that I haven't finished off my Goodreads so I can kind of clear that up. Because I think I had like 8 books currently reading, and I was like, that is not healthy. So I decided that I was gonna finish this one because I enjoyed it. It was just I was not in the mood when I was at home, and I'm not gonna lie, on the holiday I wasn't really in the mood because, as I said in my last video, I have gotten kind of into my thriller mood. And the thing is that I just, every time I like, this one was fine, but like another book that I'm gonna get to later, it was just too simple. I still really enjoyed this because the thing is, it wasn't too basic, too simple. It wasn't too straightforward. Like, romances are often still straightforward, except for dark romances. I don't know. But, like, it was still straightforward, you know, like, third act breakup, blah, blah, blah. The third act breakup really pissed me off. I saw it coming that this was going to be the third act breakup. I was like, please, man, don't be that stupid. Don't let your little man brain let this happen, because it's, no offense. Okay, I feel like a woman would have done it as well. But it was such a typical thing to do. I feel like third act breakups are half the time they're like oh my god, I still really enjoyed it. I was kind of sad because I was really hoping this would be a 5-star. I think this is also a 3.75. It didn't make me starstruck. The next book did make me blow away. It blew me far away into the ocean. That's actually a lie. I only went into the ocean once. This is my very destroyed, twisted book. There are also singular pages that were actually flying away. The hotel has like this kind of like lobby, like this little free library system. I saw this one, and I own 2 books by this author, but I just haven't read them yet because I was scared I didn't like them. Actually, after I read this book, I found out that those 2 books are in a series, and those are like the last 2 books. So I first have to get the first 2. So, okay, whatever. But I just heard so many good things about this author, and I was like, okay, well, if it's here for free, even though it's broken as fuck, I'm just gonna take it into the hotel room, see if I want to read it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this up. Like, I'm gonna pick this up. This is my time. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna start this now. And God, was it good? The only thing that bothered me was really the pages that were flying away. But this was such a good book. There were so many twists, so many lies. And the thing is, me and my mom kept making fun because obviously the book is called Twisted, and at the back it says devilishly twisty and turny. So I kept going like, oh, it's so twisty and turny. And it was twisty and turny. That's literally what I told her when I finished the book. I sat there with my mouth open for a good minute. And I don't do that a lot anymore. It's so good, and it's about an author, it's about books, it's so good. I think I still have to like double think it a little bit if it's gonna be 5-star, but I think it is. Yeah, okay, I think this is, I'm just gonna give it 5 stars. Then I read The Castaways. So this book is by Lucy Clark, and I actually read a Lucy Clark book last summer, One of the Girls, and that was a 5-star. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I read it in like a day and a half. It was so much, it was like a lot of character. It's very character based, but that's what almost made it so good. Like that, yeah, it is what made it really good, because you were just so emotionally connected to the characters that you just wanted everything to work out for them. It's about 2 sisters, and one of them gets into a plane crash, and that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, there's a lot of twists, a lot of turns, a lot of secrets, but it was quite a beautiful story. But all the reviews were like, it's so beautiful, heartwarming, engaging, and I was like, is this not gonna be the thriller that I'm feeling like right now? Because I wanted just something that was gonna like put me on a leash almost, and like make me read it, and I did have that. Because the thing is, from the start, you want to know what happened from the start. You're in it from the start. You're like, what the fuck? I'm gonna give this 4 stars. It's definitely a 4 plus, but I'll have to see if it's a 4. Before I actually move on to the next book, this is like double point of view, so you get, yeah, so it's double point of view. Just so you know. Then I finished Bad Things Happen Here, so I started this, I think on like the 7th. Yeah, I started this on the 7th of July and I finished on the 27th. I started this as, oh my god, do you want to know what my bookmark is? A McDonald's receipt. That's embarrassing. I started this as an audiobook because I do have it as an audiobook. And this was my summer TBR. And the thing about this book, it had good potential, that's what I'm trying to say. But it just didn't do it for me. It's about like an island, it's like a small island, and like it's like cursed. Like bad things keep happening. And there's multiple girls that vanished and people believe they've been killed, but the police has just put them as a closed case because the police just doesn't really care. And then we talk about that it's like that like her best friend was one of these people. Yeah, so I think something's gonna happen there. And we're gonna figure out what happened to her best friend, and that's gonna be the main premise of the story. And then another girl dies. We figure out what happens to her, but we don't figure out what happened to all the other girls. And also the ending was so vague. And the thing is, it's not like this was a very long book and the author didn't want to put more into this. No, she could have easily made this a massive book and figured out what happened to all these girls, and maybe, maybe there's a serial killer. Maybe it's like a corrupt family. Maybe it's something in the police. I don't know, there was so much potential to go with here and just completely out of the window. Kind of mad. So then I read Drunk on Love. So this was the book that I was talking about with the third act breakup. So this was the most cliche story. So I thought I was gonna thoroughly enjoy this, right? Because it's workplace romance. Like, okay, basically what happens is that he sleeps with this random woman the night before. Next day, it turns out it's his boss. And then most of the book is kind of about the work and the things they do. Because it's about a winery. For a majority of the book, they're not even co-workers. And I thought that there was gonna be workplace tension. I don't know, like tension, like looking at each other and kind of like, this is not allowed, and then maybe being a little sneaky at work. But they were literally behaving like normal people. And then there was a third act breakup and I was so pissed about it. Even worse than a Not So Me Cute, because in Not So Me Cute, I can understand why he was pissed. Like, it was a big thing. And here, I understood why everyone was pissed, but I was like, this takes one mature conversation, and this was so easily avoided. And it was just like, the author was obviously creating problems that didn't have to be there. Obviously, I understand that, but they were annoying problems. And it was gonna be rated quite high, because I liked the characters, I liked the story. But then when I really thought about it, I was like, so this is just a 3-star. A simple 3-star. Because the story was good, the characters were nice. The second last book. I read Shelter by Harlan Coben. Oh my god, I need to take this to Spain. Okay, it's really not working. I have an S on my hand, but I think I'll understand. My boyfriend has a few Harlan Coben books. He's read one, but I always give him a few. But this is a YA Harlan Coben book. Since the font is massive, it's easily written, it's obviously for a whole different target audience, I feel like it'll be easier for him to get through. And I know it's going to be easy for him to get through because also I wanted to read it first just to make sure that he would enjoy it. I read this in 2 hours and like 15 minutes. And this is 326 pages. I usually read like an hour, like a page per hour, like 100 pages per hour. I did read this extremely quickly, but that's just because it was just so exciting. There was just so much going on, and like you knew what you were looking for, but it was also about friendship and love and like, the typical coming of age things. So I definitely want to read more of the YA. I have a few of the just adult ones, which I definitely want to read as well, but this one was very easy. This is definitely good for reading slumps, readathons, all that stuff. And I'm thinking I'm gonna give this like a 3.75, maybe a 4, maybe a little cheeky 4. Now we're on the last book that I read in July. I have a lot to say about this book, so be prepared. So I also picked this up in Greece. So this is Bad Blood by John Sanford. There's a big twist, and it turns, okay, so then it's all about kind of rape. In a lot of comments that are made towards women, it's kind of sexist. And in just like the way they speak about women that are victims. Like, they I don't know, they're so, like, okay, I don't want to say necessarily that they have respect, because I mean, they do, but they could be more respectful. They just, like, I don't know, they feel bad for the woman, but they're not necessarily that respectful towards them. As in, like, what they say behind their backs and the way they call them. Like, I don't know, they would just refer to women and not, and like, girls, like, not the best way. And then obviously from the people that were raping these girls, it was like, yeah, they just need to be broken into. They just need to be prepared. They need to see what the real world is like. It was just so many things. And the thing is, I know this is part of the story, but what kind of made me feel uncomfortable is that this book is written by a man, and it's kind of like the story would have been just as good if you left those few sentences out. There's one really cliche thing about this book is that there's kind of like a love thingy between the sheriff, which is a woman, had some trouble, so she kind of wants to rebuild her sex life. And then he offers, so the detective, I like the I don't know, what's his name? He's from the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Investigation, so that is whatever he is. Then he offers to kind of do that for her, and then that was nice of him to do in a way. And then towards the end of the book, hey, okay, these two things really pissed me off. So one, it's from his perspective. She's kind of rambling. She's just going on, you know how you do. Like, if you like someone and you're comfortable, you just kind of ramble on and talk about nothing. And his thoughts are like, oh yeah, I've noticed that if I let her ramble on, like, she's willing to, like, give me more, as in, like, sex and, like, I don't know. And then literally after he thought that, she said to him, you're really, like, you're not like other guys, you really listen. And I felt so bad for the poor woman. Then on the last page, as for the relationship itself, Virgil could see it lasting a while, but not forever. Coakley was a hell of a woman, but was looking for a little more stability than Virgil could offer. In the meantime, the conferences continued, and then literally after, it's hinted that they're gonna, like, do something sexual, and he knows that she wants something more long-term, and she, like, I got the feeling that she was really into him while reading the book, and he's aware of that, and he just continued to lead her on and kind of use her, and it just made me sick. Because the plot and the story and, like, the crime part of it was insane. Put the sexist out of it, like 4.75, maybe even a 5-star. But now it's like probably like 3.75. I can't give a book 5 stars if it made me uncomfortable. And not uncomfortable in, like, oh, I'm a creeped out way. No, I'm freaked out. I don't know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're still watching, comment, oh my god, this emoji, and I will see you when I see you.